So we're going to do dividing polynomials. Now we're only going to work on the first couple basic parts of this. There's a third part of it that's called long division. And we will save long division till Algebra 2. When you're in the Algebra C class, it's actually one of the first things we do. And so we're going to save it till then and not worry about it at this point in time. So in our dividing here, actually all we're going to be doing when we're dividing polynomials is what we've already been doing. When I ask you to divide and then we factor and simplify, that's about all it is. And that's all we're going to look at really is that part. So what we're doing is something we've already done, and we're just going to get a little more practice at it. Now the one thing that we're adding to it is dividing a polynomial by a monomial. And doing that is pretty easy if you do the first step. And the first step takes you to the part where all you have to do is simplify some fairly basic fractions. Okay? So here we want to divide this polynomial, 5x cubed minus 20x squared plus 30x by 5x. And the first thing we want to do is we want to write it as a rational expression. So we're going to write it as a fraction, basically. And if I write it as a fraction, then my denominator is going to be what? 5x, okay? It's the common denominator for the whole thing. So we have 5x cubed minus 20x squared plus 30x. All of that is divided by 5x. Now, so that's the first step, is we're going to write it as one single fraction to begin with. Now, what do we call this 5x? If we were adding fractions together, what would we call this? It would be the common denominator, right? It's the common denominator for this whole thing. So if I'm adding fractions together and I have a common denominator, I can write them all over that single fraction, or that single thing, right? Well, if I have all those things over that monomial, I can also write them as separate pieces. And so what we're going to do is, our second step then, is going to be separated into individual fractions. So we're going to write it as 5x cubed over 5x minus 20x squared over 5x and plus 30x over 5x. So that denominator is a common denominator. Since it's a common denominator, I can either write it all over that denominator, or I can pull it apart and write it as separate pieces over that denominator. Well, now look at these fractions I have. I have three separate fractions. They can all be simplified. And that's all we need to do then. So our third step then is just simplify each of those individual fractions. 5x cubed over 5x. The 5's will cancel and 1x. So I'm left with x squared. 20 divided by 5 is 4. X squared over x is x. And 30x divided by 5x is 6. Still in the Halloween mood, so we'll go orange and black. That's close. We'll make it dotted, somewhat brown. Is that good enough? All right. Cool. Yep. A few more days off then, right? That's why you're in Thanksgiving mood already. All right. We got a couple weeks for that though. Okay. All right. So I want you to do Now, if we're dividing a polynomial by a binomial, then it's basically just what we were doing in our division before, is we're just going to take a fraction that we have, factor it, and then cancel the common factors. So we're basically just doing a little bit more of that division we were doing. More factoring practice and simplifying. So we factor the numerator. Since these have a common factor of x minus 3, I'm left with x plus 5 for my answer. Guess that's as close to brown as I got. And letter B here, a little bit tougher because the numerator is a little bit harder to factor. So we're going to have to use the, you could use the guess and check method for factoring this, or you could use that slide and divide method. And so let's review that for a moment. All right, so we've got, so the first thing we do then if we're doing that slide and divide method is we're doing a times c. All right, so we're going to multiply 2 times negative 4. So we get x squared minus 7x minus 8. This is my a times c is right there. 2 times negative 4. All right, then we factor that. So what do I get when I factor that? Cheyenne, what do we get? Okay. What? Okay, good. X minus 8 and x plus 1. Okay, we factor it. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to divide the constants by a. Okay, so we're going to do x minus 8 divided by 2 and x plus 1 divided by 2. All right, because remember it's ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, then we simplify. So we get x minus 4 and x plus 1/2. All right, and then we slide the denominators. So we're going to take the 2 here and we're going to move it in front of the x. So we get x minus 4 and 2x plus 1. And that's our factorization then. So in the numerator, we have x minus 4 times 2x plus 1. In the denominator, we have x minus 4 and x plus 3. So the x minus 4s go into themselves once. So we're left with 2x plus 1 over x plus 3 for our answer. So those are just problems similar to what we've done before. We're just taking a fraction and simplifying it, a rational expression and simplifying it. Factor, and then cancel your like factors, and so that we have what's left. Just remember, it has to be a factor to be able to cancel it, right? Because it has to go into itself. X minus 4 goes into itself once. X minus 4 goes into itself one time.